Well, there's no doubt that professional football has become our nation's national pastime, especially when you consider that 117 million viewers turned in to watch the Super Bowl on Sunday.
One of the fastest growing sports in the world is UFC mixed martial arts fighting. Two men in a caged ring beating the living daylights out of each other.
We're joined by ABC 40's Scott Cohen here tonight with the story of Nick Newell. He trains right here in Western Mass, and he's turning really ready, and he's almost ready to hit the big time. Scott?
Dave and Shannon, there's no doubt about that. Nick Newell has always been the center of attention from his days as a young baseball all-star in his home state of Connecticut to the days he captained the Western New England College wrestling team. Nick Newell has always been a man for all seasons, and now he's one of the rising stars in the sport of mixed martial arts, fighting with a disadvantage that may actually be his ultimate advantage.
A lot of people say I'm the one-arm fighter or whatever, but it's one hand basically, and part of my forearm is missing. I was born this way.
With a sly smile on his face, Nick Newell, the quote-unquote one-armed fighter, has quickly become one of the rising stars in the sport of mixed martial arts. A classically trained wrestler who once captained Wennick's wrestling team, Nick is 6-0 as a professional fighter. Now, if boxing is called the sweet science, then MMA is the science of grace and mayhem. And Nick Newell has been stealing the show like a one-armed bandit.
A lot of people ask me, what's it like fighting with one hand? And I'm like, what's it like fighting with two hands? You know, I just don't know. And this is natural, and it's how I've always been. And just like anyone else at sports, and it just so happens that I'm good at one.
Nick started here probably 4.5 years ago. He walked in the door, and people were like, oh, what's this guy going to be able to do? Because we were doing a kickboxing class. And I was like, hey, let's throw the pads on him and see what he can do.
And what Nick has done is nothing short of amazing. 6 pro fights, 6 straight first-round wins, and he keeps moving up the ladder, gaining notoriety along the way. His fights are seen nationally on the HD network, and he'll be featured in the February issue of Maxim magazine.
All the attention that I get from the sport is great. You know, I would be doing this stuff for free if they wanted, you know, if that was the only option. But I love the attention too. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It feels great to get some recognition for your hard work.
And then there's the softer side to this young man who makes a living beating people into submission. Nick's boyhood hero is Jim Abbott, the professional baseball player with one hand. Nick met Abbott when he was just a boy and remembered what that meant to him. A recent video that Nick produced showed him teaching a young boy with one arm how to tie his shoes.
I was the only kid I knew that, you know, had one hand. I didn't know anyone else. I was just kind of thrown out there and said, you know, go out there and just be a boy and go get dirty and learn just like everyone else. And that's what I did. And I'm determined to succeed. You know, I'm not gonna let anything stop me from getting to where I want to go.
Nick has a big fight coming up. It'll be televised nationally on that HD network. Again, look out for Maxim magazine. That'll hit the newsstands next week. He's moving on up, and it couldn't happen to a nicer kid.